R360 is a league of the rarest of individuals who've accumulated extraordinary wealth, yet they have audacious dreams to change the world for the better. We teach them how to grow their wealth way beyond money. Have you ever heard the proverb, give someone a fish, you feed them for a day? Teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. Well, we believe that the same fundamentals apply to money. R360 teaches individuals and families that to achieve your full potential, you need to discover all forms of capital: financial, intellectual, social, human, emotional, and spiritual, which spells fishes. And learning how to catch these fishes is what R360 families master. Welcome to Fortunate Fishes, Secrets of Success from R360. I'm Charlie Garcia.
Raised in New Jersey to a traditional Jewish family that fully expected him to enter the family business, Brian Sidman chose a different path. He decided to launch an innovative parking garage company in New York City, and after that business took off, he founded several more, launching his new life as a serial entrepreneur. In his early 30s, Brian began using his social capital to help St. Jude Children's Research Hospital raise over $16 million. But he didn't stop there. He then endowed the chair of emergency medicine at Mount Sinai Medical Center. Next, Brian and his wife Ashley co-founded Kids Basel, a groundbreaking charity that selects and teaches young artists to thrive. It starts with helping them showcase their artwork at the prestigious Miami Art Basel. In this episode of Fortunate Fishes, Brian reveals the secrets of how to launch multiple businesses, raise a happy family, and to be a force for good in the world.
Brian, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Charlie.
So in terms of financial capital, what was the trigger in your life that made the accumulation of money important to you personally?
I think coming from a family business that had some success and seeing the success grow over a period of time, I really said, you know what? I said, I don't want to use those laurels and take them and run with them even further. I want to do it on my own and start from scratch.
What did you learn along that journey? What worked, what didn't, what mistakes?
Well, I would say, listen, there's many mistakes that are made when you're young and you're in your late 20s. And if you don't, the key is learning from them. So you want to fall a few times because that's the only way you're going to learn.
And what were the best things or biggest mistakes you made during that time?
I'd say being around the wrong people and learning that your business and even the integrity that you may have, others don't have. So the key is making the circle very small and being around people that you could truly trust, and you don't have to look over your back, so that when you're running hard, you know that you're running down the right path and you can reach your goals because you don't have to look over your shoulder.
That makes sense. When I was young, I surrounded myself with a lot of friends who just want to party and have a good time, and that's not a very good influence on you. You have to have good people in your circle. That's a great thing to learn, but it's a hard one. But in terms of now moving to intellectual capital, in terms of developing your intellect, your growth mindset, if you could write a letter to your younger self, what would it say?
It would say, Brian, continue to be passionate and work as hard as you do. However, you could probably work a little bit smarter versus just working hard.
So what does that mean? I know working hard is going to be a common theme, but what's the difference between working hard and working smart?
Is really allocating the right amount of time to something that's going to get you to your end goal. And when I was younger, I would just try to run down the same path in the right direction and work very hard. But now, being a little bit older, more mature, and seeing that you have to think a year, 2, 3, 5 years ahead, and really looking at how you're going to achieve the success that you want, and think about years ahead, not the day ahead.
Is that also where you look at and evaluate, wow, 80% of my results are coming from 20% of this activity. I got to eliminate all this stuff that's not contributing. Did that happen to you as well?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So when I look at the time spent when I was younger, it was just work, 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 and I'd get to my end goal. Now I could see what has worked and what hasn't worked, and you could cut out the path that really derails you from getting to your end goals.
So I'll call that
Yeah.
a lot of activity, not a lot of accomplishment.
Yep, correct.
So if you had to think about a book that you give out most as a gift to help people, what is that book and why?
Well, it's kind of, for me, it would be a little bit of an oxymoron because I don't read books.
Okay.
The way that I learn is by talking to people.
Okay.
However, if I did write a book for others to follow the path that I took, I would say that people over paper, in that you could learn more from humans and being around good.
Well, let's stay
people.
on that
Yeah.
because I'm the opposite of you. I read like hundreds
Yep.
of books. That's the way I learn. And there'll be a lot of people that also don't read. So like, tell me what you do. What's your secret about people?
God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So when I'm sitting with someone that is an intellect or someone that could teach me something, I say what I have to say, and then I listen and I lead them down a path to try to give me the knowledge that they have and be able to teach me.
And are you intentional about it? So let's say you want to accomplish X goal. Do you say, hey, these 3 people have accomplished X goal and they're like masters. I should figure out how to meet one and then just shut up and listen?
Absolutely correct. And one of my partners always says about me that I've done in the past, or that he's seen the success is an individual that I need to talk to for a specific reason is 1 phone call away, maybe 2. So my
How
goal
do you do that? I think most people would be scared to pick up the phone and call Elon Musk or who. You just pick up the phone and call people?
Absolutely. Your network is your net worth, is what I've always said. And I'll never turn down a meeting, whether it's someone that's much younger than me, whether it's someone that I don't think that there's a reason to meet with them. There's always something that you can learn from someone, and that someone may be able to introduce you to the person that you need to end up talking to.
Right. So we're shifting to social capital, and you said something I've never heard before. Your network is your net worth. Okay, first of all, a lot of younger people, they think it's super inauthentic because you're, networking. How do you think through it in an authentic way?
Well, there's a subtle way of doing things,
Okay.
and I'm not, and nothing against the insurance world, but insurance salesmen are very aggressive by nature, and they're hunters. And I would tell you this, that I do it in a subtle way, and I have a subtle path, and I'm not pushy at all. And as it relates to any of my businesses, if investors want to invest or not invest, it's really just communicating and learning about the individual, and in turn, that individual will open up their network when they feel that they're comfortable with you as an individual.
Well, social capital is about more than networking. It's also about how are you using your wealth and your talent to better your local community, the country, the world. You're a young guy, and you're doing a lot. What are the things that you're doing in that respect, and how do you align your business as well to do that?
Yeah, so as it relates to the local community, my wife Ashley and I, we really look at 2 ways of giving back. Number 1 is kids, and number 2 is healthcare. So we became big benefactors of and donors of a local hospital, Mount Sinai in Miami Beach, because we know that we all need longevity and we all need better healthcare. That's very important to us, but even more important to us is kids. So we're very big donors of a school called the Seed School in Miami that brings in underprivileged kids that would otherwise be out in the street, and they bring them into a dorm atmosphere. They give them an education, and majority of the kids that come through the system end up going to college, which otherwise would never have gone to college.
Right. Well, I was shocked when I went to your house and I saw this piece of art. It looked like a Picasso, and I'm like, wow, you had a Picasso in your house? And I said, no, it's like a 13-year-old
Yep.
artist. What do you do with young artists that you turn into entrepreneurs? Tell me about that.
So if you give kids a platform, they will succeed. But many kids don't have that platform. So this is really my wife, Ashley, that found fragmentation in the art world, where kids were not taken seriously. So during Art Basel, which is every December in Miami, and then in Basel, Switzerland, they have another event where it originated. It was all about adults and their artwork that are very famous and are already out there. So my wife and I decided to give kids a platform that were very talented, but also teach them about entrepreneurship, that they can sell their art, that there is value to it, even though they may not think so.
That's me. I'm staying a lot of time on social capital because you do something that I never thought of. You've created businesses, I'm not going to go into all of them, that you do for good. Talk just about, like, you create workforce housing. So, I do workforce housing. Well, what do you do?
So, real estate private equity firm, and we have a venture capital firm in healthcare. On the healthcare side, it really enlightens me to see that technology could finally catch up to neuroscience, and we've backed some major companies that have already had some significant success and breakthroughs.
That's great. But if coming back to workforce housing,
Yep.
What do you do that's good versus the 10,000 other people that just do workforce housing?
So what makes it really impactful is that we build new construction for individuals that utilize a choice voucher program, Section 8. And most Section 8 tenants are looking at 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s construction, where we said we want to build new product. These individuals deserve it. And we build family-oriented communities, so 3 and 4 bedrooms. And these units that we build, what's most enlightening to me, the first project we did when we turned over the keys to our first tenants, they were in tears because they said, this is the first time, and this was a nurse practitioner in her late 50s, said, this is the first time I've ever lived in a new construction unit, and thank you guys for doing that.
Wow, good for you. So going to human capital, in terms of maximizing your human potential, how important is it nutrition, exercise, and taking care of your physical well-being?
That's something that I definitely have to work on. I get consumed with work, but I do know that exercise is important for longevity.
But you're a fit guy, so what do you do to stay fit?
Genes are very important, but I do try to work out 5 days a week. When I'm traveling, it makes it more difficult, and then it gets you out of a routine, but the goal is to be in the gym at least 4 to 5 days a week.
And back on human capital, how do you consistently learn new skills, particularly those that you may not, come naturally to you, but you have to have them to be successful?
So in terms of the skills, I learn from people. Some learn from, again, I call it paper. Some learn from books,
You're not a book
publications.
guy.
I read publications,
Okay.
and I read what I have to, medical journals, and then real estate journals. But at the end of the day, where I've learned the most was sitting down individuals like yourself and saying, Charlie, tell me about your life. What success have you had, and how did you get there?
Great. And a skill. Can you give one example of just something stupid, some skill that you wanted to learn that you went to someone and learned it from somebody?
I would say the private equity world.
Okay.
I had a lot of experience in real estate as it related to getting into deals that are typically very complex and hard. I've found some very good mentors that pointed me down the path that they gave me the tools that I then could do it on my own in my early 30s.
Great. So find the people that can teach you and learn using your own learning style. Look, we all have painful disappointments. We all have failures. You've had them. I've had them. The question is, how do you deal and recover from them? What's your secret? What's your strategy? And what's your recommendation to others?
Don't be afraid of conflict, number one, and don't be afraid of failure. I've been in positions when I worked for other companies, not my own, knock on wood, but with other companies where I was not at the helm, but I was a guy that had to be on the front lines to answer the hard questions. And I ran towards it when most individuals would run away from it. And it's not something that's comfortable, but it's something that you can get yourself comfortable with if you run towards it. You run towards whether it's the conflict or you run towards the challenge. And you're going to learn more, which I did in my late 20s. I learned more then than during the successful periods.
Well, I was in the military. I look at you. You could have been a good Navy SEAL. But how do you maintain a positive mental attitude, what I call PMA, in the face of adversity?
Well,
You're doing something and life just keeps knocking you down. What do you do?
one thing that I do is I observe and I see what doesn't work. And negativity doesn't help in any facet, whether you're fighting a disease, whether you're fighting challenging business times. If you're negative, it doesn't help at all. So why be negative when you have that choice as a human? You don't have a choice because of what happened, whether it was a disease or it was a challenge in business, but your choice is that you can be positive. So positivity ends up creating success in my mind.
Great. That's a great answer for emotional capital. Moving to spiritual capital. This is my theory about you, because I know you're not about organized religion, but you have a religion. You do. And in my mind, your religion is the American dream and way of life. Tell me about that.
So born and raised Reform, Jewish, and I'd say leaning towards maybe even conservative. And my thoughts on religion.
I'm not. I accept.
Okay.
Some believe, some don't. But why is your religion the American way of life and the American dream?
Well, I've seen it with my grandfather, and he came over from Zurich, Switzerland, came to the U.S. during the World Fair, and then fought in the war when he didn't have to. He enlisted, and then he ended up.
He's pretty famous, right? He's a legend. I read something about him.
He is a legend. Yep.
Tell me more about that, because obviously your family history, is in your veins. It's your family. It's your blood.
Absolutely. So he enlisted, was a paratrooper, was dropped on Nazi lines, and because he spoke 8 languages, blonde hair, blue eyes, he
and he
was
got
able
the 8
to
languages
escape.
because
He was born in Zurich.
In Zurich,
and,
okay.
Yep. And the bottom line is that he fought adversity. Bullets were whizzing by him when he was dropped as a paratrooper, but he kept fighting to get back to safe lines. So he hid out with French families and from village to village until he got back to U.S. territory and U.S. lines. And just seeing that and seeing there's many stories like that, not just, he's not the only one. There are many
But how
historic
impactful,
stories.
I mean, my grandfather was a huge influence in my life. And he was in World War II also. How impactful was your grandfather? Did you have a relationship with them?
Very strong, very strong relationship. He was like a second father to me. And that's something that really drove me, because he also came from a family business in Zurich, a major textile company, and started on his own in the U.S. with just the clothes that were on his back after the war, and he built a very successful career. So that was something, going back to what triggered me. That triggered me. That I wanted to follow
so when you
those
decided
footsteps.
you wanted to do it on your own, was he a mentor? Did he support you? Did he push you into the family business? What was his advice to you then?
He always, very similar to me, he never pushed. He said, listen, it's there if you want it, but I support whatever you do. Unfortunately, he had a stroke and was incapacitated before I started my own business. He would have been very, proud to see it. But his ailment actually drove me to the neuroscience space to try to make a difference for individuals that had a stroke, severe stroke, and being able to solve those problems. And it really drove me into the healthcare side of business.
Interesting. You have 2 daughters, and I've met them. They're
Yep.
very precocious and smart. So I'm assuming that if they wanted to go their own way and do their own thing, you're going to be like your grandfather with you.
Absolutely. Listen, I want them to create their own path and their own journey. I'll give them the tools, I'll give them guidance, but I'd want them to fall first. And just like I had some challenges when I first started out in my own businesses, and I want to see them, take that same path and trajectory.
So we define spirituality very widely. It could be, religion, it could just be a personal connection, but we do it even wider than that, and that is understanding your why. When I was 50, I hired a coach and through a year process discovered that the reason I'm here on earth is to inspire and connect others to achieve extraordinary things, and everything I do has to fit in that or I don't do it. You're a young guy, 40 years old, just. So what do you think your purpose is in life, and how do you align yourself around it?
To help others. That's what my purpose is. I've been fortunate to have the success, and I want to continue and multiply that success so I could give back to others and help others, whether it's education, arts, or in the healthcare space.
Well, what I still don't understand about you is you have been doing this at a very young age, and when I was building my business or others, it's a single-minded focus on being successful in business, where you have set up all your businesses to help others, and what you do in the community philanthropically is typically what I see people do when they're 70 or 80 years old and say, oh, I'm old, I got to start giving away money. You've developed that muscle from day one. What advice would you give to others about that? Because your brand also, when you approach people in the community and they look up your name, they say, oh, like what you and your family are doing. It's not like you're giving away $50 million to some university to put your name on it. You're doing it in a very anonymous way. What advice would you give people? Why do you do it? How has it helped you?
It's just in my DNA, and I've seen it with my grandfather, seen it with my parents, and at the end of the day, it's in my DNA. And I never did understand when people had a significant amount of wealth why they didn't give back to the local community or something that they're passionate about. My wife and I were part of a group that gave over $16 million to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which at the end of the day, seeing kids going through significant health issues, to me, it clicked, and they need more support. They need more help for research and to do these extraordinary things that they're doing in Memphis. So to me, I never understood why people, would want to keep it all to themselves, or there's only so many material items you can buy. I'd say what drives me, though, to go back to work every single day is so that I could do more for others. And again, very passionate about anything that would help kids in education, arts, and then on the healthcare side.
Well, I tell you, you make me feel small because I hear your story and it's like, damn, I got to get my game up because, I'm 20 years older than you. But the other thing that really came out to me is I'm a grandfather now. I have a 1-year-old grandson and a granddaughter on the way. And I think we forget how much influence a grandparent can have when our kids are so busy building their own life and are busy, that we should really take the time and effort to really be a good influence on our grandchildren. So I really want to thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Your story is super inspiring, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.